get up when you need to get up and just keep things moving. Because this is that morning, guys, and I hope you're doing well, even regardless of things. So karibu sana and welcome to the Situation Room this Wednesday morning. We are up and at 'em and getting into it proper. Hey, EVE, I promise I will never ever do it again. Woo-wee. And so, as we get my voice together and all other things together, let me tell you that today I have with me a guest host who maybe you've seen, you've heard in different places, in different spaces. But he joins us this morning. Hey, if I can just get my phone to behave itself. Just a minute. You know, sometimes now when you're trying for things to operate, they decided they're not going to do it with you. But we move regardless. Our guest host with us this morning is awake a little bit more than me. I would assume. Ochanda, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm very fine. How are you?
As you can see, I'm trying to put it together. Alan Ochanda is a political reporter with KTN, and he joins us this morning in the Situation Room. I'm very glad that you are. How are things?
We are doing well. We're keeping up very well. And, of course, just having our acts together. And, we're keeping up well.
Good. We're glad that you're here this morning, and we do have a number of conversations. Our live streams are up this morning on YouTube, Facebook, and on X. And my alarm this morning was one Evelyn. Evelyn, good morning, and I hope you're doing well. Let's get into the conversations that we'll be having today. Let's let you know what those will be. We're going to start off with a conversation around what it meant for the politics of appointments and where the line should actually be drawn. Dr. Martin Olo is an advocate and a political analyst. He joins us at 7 o'clock with Dr. Luchetu Likaka, who is a governance and security consultant. They're both going to be with us at 7 o'clock, and we'll have that conversation. The politics of appointments. When we see these appointments happening, and this is right up your alley, Ochanda, is it by merit or is it because somebody is going to sing a certain song? We'll talk about that at 7. Where should the line actually be drawn? All right. And then at 8 o'clock, Willis Otieno, advocate and Safina Party deputy party leader, will join us. We're going to be looking at the state of the nation, the Kenya that people want. And it comes from a perspective where he's been, in the seat where he's been asking a number of questions over time in terms of what the case should be. Also, finally, at 9 o'clock, we will talk with Moses Ndurima, who's the Deputy Secretary General of KUPPET. A strike is looming. They've said, you know what? Over SHA, if we cannot go to hospital and get medical attention after we have been deducted a certain amount of money, guess what? We will not be teaching come next week when schools open from Monday. Schools opening Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If we cannot go to hospital, we will not, and we cannot be treated, because that's the case for a lot of teachers today. We will not be teaching next week. And we're talking about the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers. This essentially is high school. This is secondary school. So if they're already at that place where they're saying this, then we're probably going to have an issue. Okay, so we're going to have a conversation about that and what exactly it means and just how interesting it is. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk from political lines drawn at 7. We'll look into the state of the nation at 8, and then we'll look at the state of education from a teacher's point of view in terms of what's happening. Guys, say hi to Ochanda. Make him feel welcome. Let's do like we normally do and say hello to everybody when you tune in this morning. And very good morning to our audience on KTN today. From different angles, everybody gets an opportunity to watch the Situation Room. And as we get into these conversations, karibuni sana. We'll say hello to you in just a little bit. When we start to look into the headlines as well, we'll let you know what's going on. So yesterday, was it interesting, or was it a spent cartridge in terms of what happened with the protest? Was there somebody leading it, or was it there was no bullet in the chamber, really? So those are also conversations that we will be having as we get into it this morning. All right. So, Ochanda, we put you to work. Let me tell you what our proverb is today. Our proverbs come from Egypt this week, and you may or may not know that Egypt is cosmopolitan as well as heavily still traditional, ancient times Egypt, but still being able to straddle that position where it's cosmopolitan and it's new and it's modern and embracing technology, but still vested in the traditional, where we know a lot of things: the invention of paper, the invention of ink, the drawings that we see that heralded the time of man, essentially, and their intelligence. So it's a very interesting mix of many things happening at the same time. Here's the problem for today. We'd love to get to hear what you think about that. Stretch your legs as far as your blanket extends. Stretch your legs as far as your blanket extends. What would you make of that?
Stretch your legs
as far as your blanket extends.
Extends or can stretch. I almost gave a synonym, another proverb that means the same, but to the best of my knowledge, it really is that if you're getting into a situation, be sure of how you get in and how you can get out.
Yeah.
As you get in, if the situation becomes unbearable, you should be able to come out without much difficulty.
That's interesting. I imagine that a blanket offers some kind of security or covering,
yes,
or warmth, and that in some cases it may not, I guess, depending, cover everything. So if you stretch beyond a particular place,
yes,
you lose the security or the warmth or comfort of the blanket. So maybe know your lane.
Know your lane.
And stick to it, because if you stretch beyond a certain point, you're going to lose the comfort and covering that you normally would have. I guess I'd see it like that. Be interesting to see what folks have to say about that today, as we get into things. All right. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We can see that you're in the room this morning. Like I said, please say a big hello to Ochanda as he gets into the room with us today. And as you're tuning in from different parts of the world, let's take a minute to say a very good morning to you. And thank you for keeping it part of the Situation Room today. Yesterday was really interesting because I got so many messages from people that I just didn't know how to be able to connect with them. And so on different social media places, spots, it was really nice to connect with you guys. And thank you for keeping us righteous in terms of the things that we need to be talking about when it comes to the development of our communities, our societies, of course, our nation, regions, and the world. Wherever your nation is, whatever it is that you need to do, this conversation kind of fuels a lot of those things. So thank you for tuning in with us every day. Okay, so we're getting into it today, and a very good morning to you. We can see you tuned in this morning from Mombasa, Peter Kiari. And what do you tell us today? Good morning from Mombasa. When respect comes before love, every love story becomes a perfect love story. When respect comes before love, every love story becomes a perfect love story. Okay, interesting. Desmond Ortiz says, good morning. Where football is a politics, don't hold it in your heart or lungs. It can catalyze us to death very fast. Wishing Kilam to happy Tuesday. Well, it's actually Wednesday, but okay. We'll take that. I know that today is the day where people will be wondering, okay, so is it going to be Arsenal? Is it going to be Manchester United? There's another game in hand for both teams. Somebody has got to win, and somebody has got to win. So it's going to be interesting. People will sleep with their heart in their chest tonight, that's for sure. Michael Olande, good morning to you. Tune in from the land of 1,000 hills. Thanks for being here. Precious Gondi says, good morning, Jambo, everybody. Good morning to you. Georgia Demo says, good morning. I'm listening in from Rongo. Boaz Nalianya says, good morning from Kitale, Trans Nzoia County. And Franklin is also tuned in this morning. Good morning to you. We see you. And we're going to get through everybody today. Kansifa says, good morning, tuning from Mombasa. Tibbs Muge says, good morning, SpiceFM team. Good morning to you. Leo says, hello, fellow unpatriotic Kenyans. Okay. Are you unpatriotic this morning, Leo? If so, why? Politicians in their speech are very interesting. Kindiki has been MP, senator, and now a DP. What has he done to demand another day, and what have they done? It's a game of musical chairs. Well, I know. And these are some of the questions that we ask. Peter says, Ruto goes to a university in Italy and there's a blackout for the first time ever. Okay. We're not going to follow your conspiracy this morning, but okay, sour. If we just move it from there. Jennifer Tenney says, good morning. Imagine we unpatriotic who think about Kenyans who elected them. Okay, I guess now you're having that banter amongst yourselves. Isaac Ale says, good morning. Kenyans in Italy were told not to believe what's on social media. That's like telling a man in the rain to ignore the fact that he's already soaked because the umbrella looks fine from State House. Isa, good morning. Good morning, Ndu. Yes, good morning to you, Jennifer. Spice team. Say hi to Joe and Aseto. We'll greet them, both gentlemen dealing with something this week. So let's hold them in prayer. Now, Penda Sana, Jennifer, good morning to you. Eric War says, good morning, guys. Good morning. Collins Juma says, good morning, Spice. According to my research, do you know the number of times you people have been visiting African countries collecting proverbs is Inashinda Kidogo Sana DP visits to Meru? Ha!
That's interesting.
Okay. Should we comment or should we just keep it moving?
No, we shouldn't.
Okay. Pan-African Kenyan says, good morning from Nairobi. Right, Jennifer's welcoming you, Ochanda. And good. This is a very engaging platform, she says. So
thank you so much.
All right. Vena Karwenji says, good morning, tuning from Kuwait. Interesting. Such a beautiful Wednesday morning. Thank you for tuning in this morning. Karibu Sana. Masharian Jeru says, good morning. Watching from Portland in Oregon. Sakaja decided to play April Fool's Day with Gaucho as a board member of Mama Lucy Hospital. You think it's a joke? It would have been interesting if it actually came out on the 1st of April. But this one, unfortunately, looks like it's quite serious. I don't think it's a joke, this appointment.
It's not a joke.
No, it's not.
It's not a joke.
He's actually been appointed, has he not?
He's been appointed. And, the most interesting thing is that the banter that was on social media is that doctors actually trained a minimum of 7 years. And now, Gaucho, actually that was banter on social media.
Yeah.
They are claiming he doesn't have a formal education. Of course, we have to ascertain that. But they claim that they cannot, for 7 years, sit in a classroom, just honing their skills. And then Gaucho from nowhere
gives them direction on how to run. A
political appointee now comes here to sit in that apex body to be giving them a direction. That's part of the banter, but really, not really. Yeah. Let me stop at that.
Yeah, for now, because my goodness. Yeah, this is one, and this is around what we'll be talking about at 7 o'clock when the two analysts join us, because you have to ask certain questions here that you fly in the face of all good sense when you do certain things. You can make a political appointment, but it matters where. But I'm not going to preempt that conversation. We will have it at 7 o'clock.
Yes, sure.
Dr. Van Vick is tuning in this morning from Chude, Mombasa. Kweli King wa Mandamano was Baba. Okay. Antonina Kehika says, good morning, Spices. Into that denim is a den meaning. Matching very well with the mustard. Asante sana. Very good morning to you. Okay. Kansifa says, hello, Mr. Ochanda. Alan Ochanda, welcome. Karibu. Let's fix things together.
Asante.
Joseph Okondo says, good morning, tuned in from SpiceFM. Ndu, a belated welcome back from Nigeria. Thank you so much. Tuning from Tudor. Thank you. A big hello to Ochanda, says Desmond Otis. Thank you so much, Kansifa.
Hi.
Christina says, good morning. Ndu, while you were away, we were talking about 2/3 gender. Okay, all right. Now you know why I don't think we need it. Most people who go to Mama Lucy are pregnant women. Female MPs are okay with goon appointment. Yeah. Yeah. I could comment on that, but then it would ruin my peace.
Yeah.
And I have a certain level of peace this morning. And I'd like to maintain that at least until 7 a.m. Ama
Yes,
namnagani EVE. At least. But Christina, I hear you, my sister. Bwangi Juma says, good morning, SpiceFM. How are you all this morning? Have a blessed Wednesday. Thank you so much. Sarah Kilonzo says, good morning, Kenya. Collins Kimtai is tuned in this morning. And Rose Emily says, good morning. Looking forward to today's conversation. Karibu Sana. Wanda, good morning. You're tuned in from Toronto. And welcome, Mr. Chanda. She says, I'm not Kenyan, but even I am fatigued by the bad news in Kenyan news. Maybe that is why people stayed home yesterday. It's too much. Kamu, Wanda, where are you from? All this time, I just thought you were Kenyan. Tell us where you're from, Wanda. Thank you so much. Very glad to be here this morning. Thank you for your compliments. Really great. Cyrus Kalasinga says, good morning, tune in and listening from Siaya Kababa. Okay. Oh, Leo, yesterday you were called unpatriotic Kenyans. That's where it's coming from. Demanding a better motherland. For demanding a better motherland. I get it now. Good morning to you. Maxi Opondo says, good morning. Early to rise to hear the conversation from Abu Dhabi. Good morning to you. Karibu Sana, and thank you for being here today. Robert Tibogo tuned in and says, good morning from Mombasa. Everybody. Karibu Sana, thank you for joining us every morning as you do. We don't take it for granted. Wanda, I'm still waiting to hear where you're from because I don't understand. But thank you. And Karibu Sana, always good to have you. We're going to look into the headlines. I don't know what Evelyn wants me to do. Look into the headlines and then we take a break. Let's do it in a bit. But let's look into the headlines. Front page of the Standard, Kenya's bold newspaper today. In case you don't remember, the CS... interior is one Kipchumba Onesimus Murkomen. And the headline today on the Standard is playing clever. Goon's paradise. When he appeared before members of parliament yesterday, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen either misunderstood his brief or, as the lawyer he is, preferred ambiguity than that lets him dodge responsibility. Tasked with overseeing security, he pointed fingers everywhere but at the office he leads. He branded some lawmakers warlords, cast governors as sponsors of crime, and accused the judiciary of leniency towards gangsters. Where? Yet he named no suspects, pursued no ringleaders, and offered no clear evidence of decisive enforcement against the criminals. And there's a quote from him, from Fred Kapondi, who's a Mount Elgon MP. And he said, it is very clear that you have all the solutions and all that remains is implementation. For instance, you know those that are funding the goons. By not flagging their names, you are perpetuating the problem. He went on to say yesterday, I don't know if you listened to those proceedings,
yeah, we did.
But he said that the people who are suspected to have assaulted Vihiga Senator Godfrey Osotsi are on the run. All of them outside the country.
Yeah.
Yani, all of them are outside the country. Now, outside the country, is it here, Arusha? Is it Kampala? Is it Abu Dhabi? How then did you know? You've gathered adequate information to substantiate a claim that they're on the run outside of the country. If you know they're outside of the country, then you know where they are.
Sure.
So why can you not accost them?
You know, this really lies squarely at the feet of the interior CS. Remember that immediately that Osotsi was actually confronted with that ordeal in Kisumu 2 weeks ago. The political class was out guns blazing, and they were laying the blame to the interior PS, Raymond Omolo. But the CS came out, apportioned his PS of the blame, really defended him. But now he's coming out and saying that those who attacked the Senator of Vihiga, Godfrey Osotsi, are actually on the run. Not just on the run, but outside the country. How porous can our borders be that fellows who were captured on CCTV can sneak out of the country unnoticed? And then it's like the CS, in fact, he was specific with the number. It's not actually all of them. There are around 14 who have actually already sneaked out of the country. 14,
right? 14 have sneaked out of the country. All right.
Remember, 2 weeks ago, we've seen Akina Babu Wino Mbakasi MP. They were out. Of course, we can really quote them. They were saying that some of those goons who were captured on CCTV are actually hiding. Some of them were hiding in Nakuru. That's according to the political class. You know, maybe there's something they know that we don't. They were saying that they are hiding in Nakuru and that some leaders are actually facilitating their hiding.
Yeah.
Because you see, for goons, these are actually unemployed youth. For you to sustain yourself in the hideouts, you must have some loose cash. You must be liquid because you're operating from Kisumu, but you are hiding in far-flung areas. They were specific. Nakuru. Don't you think this is actually now a cat and mouse game? Because even the headline, playing clever.
Yep. You know, intelligence is an interesting thing because you have to ask. You gathered adequate information to then announce publicly, and this announcement was public. It was in Parliament yesterday, so it was public, that they are out of the country. How do you know that they're out of the country? You have been given some information. So what then stops you from apprehending these gentlemen, these suspects? What stops you from doing that? This is my question. To me, that's why I actually do agree with this headline, because you're playing clever. How in one instance do you tell us that people who are fueling tensions in the country, you're calling them warlords, you're calling them sponsors of crime, you're accusing the judiciary of leniency against gangsters, but then you know that these people are outside the country, but you're not doing anything. Okay, you've not told us that you've taken a further step to do anything to apprehend them. I don't understand. I don't.
It's quite interesting, and I write on that. Remember, he says that it's like, the parliamentary committee is actually quasi-judicial. It's actually, it wields the similar powers of a high court. And that's why whenever CSS and governors, whenever they snub these committees, they actually fine a minimum of 500,000 shillings. And remember, even governors were willing to snub so that they could actually part with 500,000, because that's actually pocket change for governors. But remember, he went ahead and told the committee that this goonism is actually entrenched and mainstreamed even at county level. So with chief officers even being in charge of goonism. Remember that governors, right from MCS, he was saying that they have their own goons. It all depends with how deep your pockets run.
Everybody has goons.
So if you have shallow pockets, you will not have goons. And so you see, these goons are actually like a wind. They're actually just if today they are with Ndu, tomorrow I
can be goons for hire. I can do. I can hire me.
It's quite worrying, not just interesting. It's worrying.
It is worrying. Yeah. We just started on the front page of the Standard. Let's look into some of the inner pages. No one claims credit for flopped Gen Z opposition-backed protests. Okay, that's an interesting headline. So it didn't really the Mandamano didn't really happen yesterday. There were no protests. Nobody's saying whether they were or were not behind them, and that nobody's taking responsibility. Just a few. There was some, minimal skirmishes in the city, but beyond that, there was no protest really.
There were no protests. Remember that, unlike in 2024, remember that these protests, unlike the late Raila days, when they will be mobilized on political platforms, we've seen now protests really changing and mutating. They've actually now changed, like being mobilized on social media. But this one, it was due to the hiked fuel costs. Unlike in 2024, when Gen Zs were enraged because of the whole of the country was actually enraged, but now the Gen Zs were converging on social media in 2024 because of the contentious finance bill 2024, which actually led to a near close down of the country and triggered the dissolving of the cabinet, some radical changes by the president. And it was termed by, I remember Dismas Mokua termed it as a good crisis for the president. Yeah. But it appears like, according to Mokua, I talked to him last week and some other political observers, they say the president never took advantage of the quote-unquote good crisis. But back to yesterday, there were pockets of protesters in town. Yeah. They were actually being subdued, like you could tell the ratio of police to protesters for the first time. It was actually more. You could actually find like 10 policemen, maybe just surrounding 3 protesters. And I wonder why will they actually mop up such lean numbers? They were actually just expressing themselves, enshrined in the constitution. It's a right for them. But they were actually mopped up. And some of them actually spending the night behind bars. Yeah. There'll be a rain today. Yeah. But remember that a day before yesterday, the opposition, the DCP party leader, Rigathi Gachagua, was on record pouring cold water on the flames he had fanned, flames of demonstrations. He poured cold water on them. The same day, activist Boniface Mwangi disassociated, really distanced himself from those protests. Yeah. And also, the mobilization by the Gen Zs had actually fizzled out. But also, key to note is that the Linda Mwananchi, they're also opposition. They speak the same language with the United Opposition. But while in Nakuru on Sunday, they said they'll make the country ungovernable on 24th, 25th, and 26th of June. Maybe they are commemorating, of course, 2024. Absolutely. Demonstrations. Yeah. So they are speaking from different fronts. they're actually not really they have not harnessed their ideas. Remember these destructive waters. Should they harness the waters, they could produce electricity. And so yesterday, not really a flop, but it was quite underwhelming.
Perhaps it wasn't planned properly. If it was planned.
It was, yeah.
If it was planned. Yeah. It just sounds like it wasn't planned.
Is it planning or mobilizing or... Is it the same?
Unfortunately, I think it doesn't take away from what is restive in the hearts of many Kenyans at the moment, whereby they're unsatisfied. And that's the thing, that if it was planned to fail from the very beginning, because you know what? If you fail to plan, then that is actually a deliberate plan to fail. Okay?
On the other side, remember that President William Ruto, in as much as they are saying that he never learned from the 2024 protests, I feel like he learned. Remember that last week on Tuesday, EPRA hiked those fuel prices. That's on Tuesday night.
Yes.
Wednesday, they revised downwards. Thursday, Parliament is actually passing the VAT amendment bill. 2026. That is Thursday. Friday, the president is assenting to that amendment bill, marking the reduction of VAT on petroleum products from 16% to 8%.
For 3 months.
For optics.
Yeah.
He should have deflated the momentum of the protests. And so yesterday, the rage was actually diffused. They were deflated. And so by Monday, maybe the opposition felt like
there's nothing to protest about here now.
Yeah.
But that's what I was saying. I think the frustration that Kenyans feel is still restive. That there will be another trigger. There will be something else. Stella Agara said yesterday that, she has 1,000% confidence that they will do something else that will frustrate Kenyans. She's confident 1,000% in the current administration that something else will happen. I thought that was interesting. Okay, so let's look at some other headlines. Parent sues IPOA for listing shop minor as dead. IPOA, man, it just seems like there's a lot of house cleaning that needs to be done over there at the authority. Murkomen shirks duty, blames politicians and courts for goons. Just like you said, you can find a goon here today, another goon tomorrow. It's like, I'm for hire. So, I've commercialized the thing. You need me, I'll work for you. But that doesn't mean I won't work for Nani tomorrow. He cannot pretend that he doesn't know this. He cannot pretend that he doesn't know who hires goons. He cannot pretend that he is unaware that they are actually up for hire. Because if he doesn't know, Ochanda, that there are goons for hire, if he doesn't know who hires them, guess what? He has no business being in this office.
That's our self-impeachment?
Yeah.
Because that's the primary role.
Yes.
The singular role.
His title includes internal security. His title as CS includes that. So if you saying that these things occur and you are unaware, yikes, that's like you say, it's an indictment on you. Like, okay, do you really know what's going on? I don't know. This is the way I see it. Teachers cry foul over weaker SHA cover, and they're saying that they're not going to teach come next week when schools open for term 2. All right, so that's what it kind of looks like in the Standard. There's more to come. Of course, we'll look into some of those stories in detail. Get yourself a copy of the Standard newspaper this Wednesday morning. Also, you can get a copy of the e-paper and have that in your hands all the time. Want to look into the Nation? Go ahead. Nation?
Yeah, you are actually looking at the Nation, and the headline is also still nauseating.
Okay.
Still nauseating. That still roping in the CS Interior, Kipchumba Murkomen, on a different matter.
Okay.
Still nauseating.
Okay.
CS, 2 MPs linked to 20 billion shillings land grab. This is actually a prime land in Karen, the popular Paradise Lost Recreational Center in Runda. It's actually in Runda, not Karen.
Yeah.
A court has been petitioned to order the anti-graft agency to investigate the trial on accusations of abetting and grabbing the 300 acres. Remember that how much an acre goes for in Runda, Karen, but we're talking about 300. So, this is actually the man in charge of Interior. Of course, he's not been indicted, but the sheer allegation. It's allegation on the Nation But on the Standard, he's been before we actually quoting him verbatim on the Standard. But for the Nation, this actually claims, and it's actually now being the owner of that land has actually petitioned the Anti-Grafter Commission to ensure that maybe they investigate the trial. And these are powerful individuals. CS Interior, MP for Kapseret, Oscar Sudi is not your ordinary MP. He's not your ordinary MP. He's been accused of being silent in the National Assembly, but he wields some more influence, more power. He's actually rubbing shoulders with the who is who in the society. Remember, not just in the society, but at the echelons of power. He's normally seen around President William Ruto. He's been his confidant for so long.
Yeah.
Remember the MP for Gatundu South, Kururia? He's been accused by the opposition wing. Remember that Mount Kenya slipped away from the Kenya Kwanza administration.
Yeah.
But he's been so close to the powers that be. So these are quite powerful individuals. If you look at this headline, it's now a trend, a pattern. Remember that we've seen cases of these prime properties. Remember Dari Business Center, owned by former CS Raphael Tuju. The case is still in court. I think it's coming up on 8th of next month when the courts will determine the way forward. Remember that Tuju, in the flexing of, I don't know if it's to call them goons, but on Monday, he stormed that property. Monday or Sunday morning, he stormed that property with a group of youth claiming ownership. It's a matter before court.
Yeah.
And so there's a worrying trend, worrying pattern, where prime property in affluent areas is sort of being targeted. And so those who stand accused, those who should be offering us security and safety. That's actually the headline.
On the Standard. On the Nation, rather.
Yeah, of the Nation, yeah. Look at page 2 of Nation, another woman nurses acid attack injuries. Remember that these are cases this is actually the second case. The first one happened like 3 weeks ago to 1 month ago, where a jilted lover allegedly hired someone, a friend.
Goons.
In this case, I don't think it's a goon.
Yeah.
This is somebody who shared in his misery.
Yeah.
It's alleged that he sponsored his girlfriend. Yet this guy was married. Remember, he was married, legally married. He's sponsoring another lady's education, with the promise that they'll get married. And so that lady eventually feels no.
Oldest trick in the book, ladies. Oldest trick in the book. He will not leave his wife for you. I'm telling you now. But anyway.
Yeah, those are some of the stories that stand out. Remember that on page 3 is the hurdle stands 4.4 million hurdle stands between top KCSE student and US varsity. Those are usually some of the issues that bedevil the society. You know, this is somebody who thinks that they can incubate their future, academic future in the US, maybe in a far away land. But some cash stands between him and his fate. Yeah, those are some of the stories that stand out. But also Murkomen features on, the story of Murkomen now is actually now captured on page 4.
Yeah. Land grab. That's a big amount of money there.
Yeah, sure.
Let's look on the front page of the Star. Gachagua Kalonzo missing as police arrest protesters. Missing. I don't know that they said they were going to attend the protest, but a protest did not take place yesterday. And that's very clear at this point.
It never.
It didn't take place. I think even by 1 p.m. it was clear that this was not happening. For whatever reason, if people were not out on the street protesting, there's still a protest that goes on in the hearts of people. Opposition chiefs keep safe distance, leaving young generals to face the music. Of course, and this is another publication that's highlighting the role of CS Murkomen. He's alleging governors are running goon departments. Okay, interesting. Did you know that there's been a census of dogs and that there are 7 million dogs roaming towns and villages? There's a census that have been taken for canines. Just interesting. That an alarm as new census puts a number of dogs in Kenya at 7 million. Those are the ones that are roaming around cities. I'm just interested.
And maybe most of them may not be vaccinated.
True.
posing a health danger.
A health risk.
Because these are actually stray dogs.
Yeah, so somebody actually went around counting okay, this is interesting.
It happens, like even in the estates.
Yeah.
Some of the serious estates, some of the serious estates are they're actually very particular on what pet to keep.
To keep, very true. Yeah.
And so if you're actually found with these are sort of stray dogs that are not actually vaccinated, let me tell you one thing though.
Mm-hmm.
The moment you're a dog owner, it's not vaccinated, and it bites someone, that's when you'll realize how serious it is.
Yeah.
Because it's your sole responsibility
You pay.
to ensure that these dogs are actually vaccinated.
Yeah.
And so they end up in the streets. They're actually stray dogs. They're actually posing danger, not just to human beings, but also you remember that whenever these are chihuahuas actually on the streets, these stray dogs are actually baying for their blood. I think they look so foreign to them. They look like cool kids.
Exactly.
The poodle dogs. So the mongrels are actually after the poodle dogs.
Yeah. Okay. So we're also being told here that the poll agency plans foolproof network for 2027 election. All right, that's comforting. IBC has said that there will be no problem. Come the election, it's going to be watertight. Ruto to pit tent in Murang'a as battle for Mount Kenya rages. I think this is very interesting because one person who's been going after a lot of the issues that have come up, whether it's divestiture of KPC or Safaricom, or what exactly is going on with sale of certain companies, happens to have been a former long-time friend of his in the name of the Member of Parliament for Kiharu constituency. This is in Murang'a County. Now, the question is, what will those optics look like? I know that there have been many a thing saying that, it's very possible that the MP for Kiharu is still on the side of William Ruto, the president, but that he's just pointing out things to maybe switch people's minds or thinking, and that really is not the case. But I thought, and I thought about the things that he's been saying, and that they've been based on research, they've been based on facts. And could it really be a smokescreen for something else? Why am I saying this? That the optics are going to be very interesting when he does pitch tent in Murang'a, because Kiharu stands out. And also in terms of what has been happening with the county governance, in terms of how development has actually been happening and happening very well in Murang'a. To whose credit does that go? So that he's decided to pitch tent here, I think is very interesting. While that's also going on, people are going to Kisumu and Vihiga over the weekend. Yes, Ochanda?
No, if speaking of Kiharu and Ndindi Nyoro, remember the former DP Rigathi Gachagua has been so particular in pointing out kuna tuwilibaro imulima tuwilibaro. You know what it means? He says that we have President Ruto's Trojan horses in Mount Kenya, disguised as opposition. As opposition. Remember when Moses Kuria was leaving the government? He appeared on social media like sort of castigating the government, calling it out. But Rigathi stood his ground and said, no, wewe ni kawilbaro. He said, kuna tuwilbaro twa green huku. Not yellow wheelbarrows. He was so particular. He's uncomfortable with Ndindi Nyoro. He's uncomfortable with Moses Kuria and some other fellows from Mount Kenya who were Ruto's men, but now appear to be on the other side. Ndindi Nyoro is so solid, matters economy. It's actually based on facts. He does his research. Yes, he does. Also remember, he has turned Kiharu constituency into sort of a model constituency. It's sort of a benchmark. But he stands accused of having misappropriated. The funds are not really misappropriated, but apportioned more funds to Kiharu constituency when he was serving as the chairman of the budget committee. And appropriations committee. So, of course, this is actually from the political class who've actually been accusing him. As late as last week, the Secretary General for UDA, Hassan Omar, went on record saying that Ndindi Nyoro cannot become clever all of a sudden. But you see, also key to note is that how is it that Ndindi Nyoro, who is castigating the government but really buying stakes in these state corporations, he has so much goodwill. The goodwill is so suspect.
I hear you saying, Ochanda, that it's very possible that although he may be outspoken in certain areas, that he's actually still going to do the bidding for UDA and President William Ruto. Don't be surprised, is what they're saying. What you're saying. Don't hold these things to heart, because who you see might, it could just, look, the more things change, the more they remain the same. So guys, in the next 3 months, things are going to happen that you will wonder where you are. That's just the nature of politics. And in any country, by the way, that things will change and you wonder, wait a minute, I thought this person,
I thought I knew.
Yeah. There'll be many of those. So just prepare yourselves for that, because you don't know.
Yeah.
All right? Yeah. Also, the governor from Mombasa might have a little bit of an issue with this story, as carried in the Star. Potholes, floods, nightmare in Mombasa. That's page 10 of the Star. And the pictures there tell the story, where there's more water than dry land on the roads. So that doesn't look too interesting.
They're not even potholes.
Yeah, they're craters.
Those look like manholes.
Yeah, in the road. So I don't know what you need to do about that, Governor Abdul Samad. But this is talking about your city. Drought pushes Tana River into modern dairy farming, and that you can actually make a good comeback from some of these poor situations. That's what it kind of looks like across the dailies today. The Business Daily talks about multinationals start wiring 42 billion shillings of NSC dividends. Yikes. Vodacom sets the pace with 13.6 billion Safaricom Pay. Shareholders return to conglomerates jump 11.7%. Borrowers face fresh checks before digital loom limit rises. Thank you, JB. Also, we then will look at a particular story as we get to the top of the hour. This is carried in the Standards today, and it's just highlighting this story before we have the conversation moving forward on another Justice Thursday. An advocate is in the dock over theft of clients' funds and forging bank accounts. The person you go to represent you actually ends up being the one who shafts you. Paul Kimani Mwangi, an advocate who, according to his prosecution, last renewed his practicing certificate in 2023, has been charged with stealing from a client and forging bank documents. He appeared before Makadara Resident Magistrate Wandia Nyamu on the 20th of April and pleaded not guilty to the charges. According to the documents, Mwangi stole 7.59 million shillings from Joseph Kimani Mushiri, a land buyer, on diverse dates between June 13th, 2023 and March 4th, 2025. He's charged with forging a document on October 11th, 2024. Mwangi is alleged to have forged 2 fake KCB bank credit advice slips for a Kenya Revenue Authority domestic tax payment, each amounting to 800,000 shillings. The documents purported to show income tax collection on behalf of Mushiri, the buyer of 2 parcels of land located in Nairobi. Court documents indicate that between June 13th, 2023 and March 4th, 2025, Mushiri transferred a total of 38.59 million shillings to the account of Paul Kimani Mwangi and co-advocates as payment for the said parcels of land. Basically, what happened here is that the lawyer stole from the client, and the client was none the wiser, as all of his transactions essentially were shot to hell. Now he's before the docks, where the hunter becomes the hunted. Those are the things that are happening. Take a copy and see what's going on in your world, even as we get into conversations around some of them.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.